as well as BuffaloBills.com. Gentlemen. Two-man inning, one-man leaves. We are at that scenario right now at the NBA Finals with the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat. All right, so we got a true Cinderella versus basically number one David versus a Goliath situation. If y'all want to just based upon the seeding, right? Miami's been a hot team. Miami's very, very hot coming into the finals. Denver has been every bit of advertised of a number one seed during the postseason. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts of this matchup? Starting game one on Thursday.
Well, first and foremost, right off the jump, I think Miami's defense has to linger and loom large in this series if they want to get anything done. You're going against a team who likes to get fast-paced, very fast-paced transitional points, killed the Lakers. I'm going to be honest with you, against Denver last series, in which, Denver definitely can move that ball off the rebound. If you miss, they'll make you pay, especially with the young fast guys. Even though Joker ain't as fast as advertised, that guy can still get down the court. One of the best passers in the game, and one of the better big man shooters in the game.
Real quick, who advertised Joker as fast? Who did?
You know what? Nobody really advertised him as fast in the very beginning. But when he first was playing, they thought he was very athletic player, very super athletic player. Yeah. We all know. I'm glad that you asked me that question, though, because I was going to say something, but then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stick to the legal, stick to the script like Gorilla Tape right now. So I'm going to be very honest with you. Miami definitely has to bring some type of defensive prowess. They cannot sit up here and have a Boston series again, or they will be out of the series in 5, just because this team is too fast, too good, and can shoot that ball. Michael Porter Jr. loves the transition. Watch him coming off the wing, baby. You got to watch that stuff. Jimmy Bucket's going to have to, slow the game down, slow the tempo down, slow down their chances, with the basketball. So I look for a good series nevertheless.
I'm excited about it. It's interesting. See, here's the thing. If the Denver that came in and played the Lakers last series, if that Denver comes in, there's not a team in the NBA that can beat them in 4 games. All right, they played out of their mind in that, and I don't even think they played that much better than the Lakers, which is crazy, right? They beat them in all 4 games, but it was like the Lakers could have won all 4 games. So it's like they just did what it took to win down the stretch, and Miami is they've shown that they can do that as well. They've also been blowing people out, but they've shown that they can have some resiliency and win games down the stretch and in clutch situations like they did in Game 7. Jimmy Butler, before the 3-game comeback by the Celtics, I would have said Jimmy Butler was having undisputedly the greatest postseason ever. I think it's not as storied now that the Celtics almost won 4 straight. They won 3 straight, but I think if he can get a championship here, it's still going to be a really, really spectacular story. But what's going to have to happen is they're going to have to use Bam Adebayo. They're not going to be able to let Jokic get comfortable, right? Because Jokic is big, right? Mm-hmm. If he's able to get comfortable and he's able to see the floor because he has tremendous passing ability, if he's able to, if he gets a rebound and push the point and nobody is picking him up half court and he get to, just let action work around him, not to mention he can shoot it from distance. If Jokic had speed, he might be the greatest basketball player who ever lived. Like, it really wouldn't be fair to watch him out there. Seriously, like, Joker with speed is basically what we expected out of Victor Wemby, right? So, of course, it's different to a degree, but when you put together tall, big, fast, can shoot, can see, can pass, can you get the whole package, if you will.
We can't just crown him king like that.
Who,
you gotta let him get no, Jokic.
Why? What do you mean?
Why?
I certainly can. Why not?
Well, why you can't, Jamal? Why you can't?
Why can't you?
Why you can't? You're just playing the NBA.
I ain't gonna say that, but he's up there.
Maybe right now, yeah, he's on top of his game, but
he up there.
Okay, win the championship. I need you to do that, Jamal. What are your thoughts on that?
The Heat, they've proven wrong. They're not talented, but they are a good team, a well-coached team. But there's nothing they can do to, slow down the Nuggets or win this series. It's going to be a short series. Denver's going to win at 5. There's just really nothing they can do. The zone that they've done, and it's a very good zone. It's not quite a 2-3-3-2. They're always moving, mixing it up, abusing them. Denver's going to kill that. They're not going to have this huge coaching disparity. Michael knows the season vet. He knows what he's doing. That's going to be about neutral. All the advantages they've had coming up, throughout the Eastern Conference are going to be not existent in this series. And it's just bad matchups all around for the Heat. Jokic is a mismatch for anyone in the league. You have Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, their length defensively. You got a KCP, a Jeff Green. It's going to be hard for the Heat on both sides of the ball to really get comfortable, keeping guys in front of them, to get comfortable on offense. We've seen Jimmy Butler go cold for the past Game 7, but Game 6, Game 5, and was it Game 4? He was kind of cold and not feeling himself as Boston was able to bother him with some of the length and stuff. And so it's just going to be tough for the Heat to really get comfortable in this series, and so that's why I think it's going to be over mid 5.
Y'all going 5?
5? Oh
yeah,
wow.
5. What did you say? You said 5. Andre
No,
said 5.
he must have said it because I ain't
You
saying
said
nothing.
5?
I said if Miami doesn't bring that defense, it's 5. Yes.
I say Miami in 7. I ain't gonna hold. And I tell you because I don't think Denver is going to be able to get off as many 3 balls as they have versus everybody else, right? I think Miami's rotation is good enough to where they can close out quick enough to not give you as great a shot. And although Jamal Murray was shooting out of his mind versus the Lakers, if he can sustain that level of play, then they deserve to win the chip. But I don't know if that's humanly possible to just keep shooting with 2 people basically in your face. I don't know if that's going to be sustainable. So I think Miami has the rotation that's good enough, and they're going to need Vincent. They're going to need Caleb. They're going to need them boys to show up again. They're going to need them to shoot well. They're going to need Duncan to shoot well. It's going to be whoever wins the 3-point battle, right? Yeah, exactly. Because if Miami wins it, I could see them blitzing Denver, and I don't think Denver is. I think they're susceptible to a blitz. I really do. Just like the Celtics were a couple times in that last series. So, and not only that, but let's say the Celtics did the Heat 4-1, 4-0, something like that. Celtics are heavy favorites, I think, coming into this finals. And the fact that Miami kind of put them away, I think they got a shot.
I'm rarely like 50-50 on this here. I am really 50-50, but when you look at it, I mean, Miami is a hot team right now. I mean, and both teams are 4 games away. Denver just showed how they just dominated the Lakers where, okay, like, damn, they are really looking like a dominating team. But Miami, he don't care about it. And that's the thing that gets me with Miami. That's why I say it's 50-50, because right now Miami is really playing out. I'll say, I can't say with emotion, but they really playing. They ain't got nothing to lose. Nobody ain't ever thought that they would make it this far right now. And nobody thought that. And you say that you think the coaching balance out. I beg to differ with that. Mark Malone has not won what? What has Mark Malone won? What has Mark Malone won to say that he's on Eric Spoelstra level? And that's, I don't want to say it's insane for me to say, but I see where Spoelstra came from. In the beginning, yeah, he had to take his bumps like everybody else, but he ended up.
Spoelstra has earned his cash.
He definitely earned his cash. So he's Baby Riley right now. He's Baby Riley right now, and he's showing that in the play. The confidence that he had after Game 6, after losing that game and saying Game 7's in the back, and they had to go to Boston to do it, embarrassed Boston on the road. So they don't care about going to Denver and playing. That's one thing that I know about this team. And then on the flip side of that, who checked your Jimmy buckets?
So it's interesting that you mentioned that, and I'm glad that you said that. That's why I said the defense has to show up in this series, because how much does Jimmy Buckets have to resort or resolve to on the defensive end? Now, obviously, you've seen the first 3 games, they did their thing, but then Boston came back with 3 games in a row, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Now you got Jamal Murray and you got Michael Porter Jr. Do you have to expend more energy on the defensive end for this series? Because we watched, and I'm going to be honest, we watched the disparity. 3 games up, 3 games down, and then in Game 7, they got rested again. And I think in Game 7, you see what happened.
Game 6, it should have really been over Game 6, but then backs out. He get the,
right.
He get the put back.
Absolutely. Well, that's one thing. That's the thing that the X factor for me is Jimmy Buckets. How much do he have to extenuate on the defensive end in this series to be productive offensively? Because we did see him disappear in that series against Boston on the offensive end for a couple of games. And number 2, Eric Spoelstra, phenomenal coach. I think he's one of the best coaches in the entire NBA. Mark Malone has to make his point with this series here by winning a championship in order to even be talked about in any conversation with Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra's boxing 1. That's the zone you was talking about earlier, the 1-2-2 boxing 1 zone. Will that be able to work? I mean, can they resort to going to that? I don't know.
We don't know. We'll just have to see. But I'll tell you what. I'm saying I'm taking the Heat game 1. I'm taking the Heat game 1. We're going to go to a quick timeout, but we'll be back. But when we return, we will, recap a little bit more about this Heat Denver matchup quickly, and then we're going to get right into the bulk of things with breaking down these Bills linebacker core here from Coach Babbage and Micah Hyde coming up next. Keep it locked and legendary. You're tuned into the WUFO 1080 AM on Power 96.5. We'll be right back.
Shout out to everybody tuning in. Hey, Angelo, what's going on online? What's up? What's up, Paul? What's up?
Hey, y'all.
What's up? Yeah, my guy Justus General in the building. My guy Jamal in the building too. Of course, obviously. And the number 1. My guy Muki always obviously on the 1s and 2s. Doing this thing. Josephine, what's up?
Attention, Medicaid patients.
If you're on Medicaid, how would you like if your caregiver was your daughter, your son, your
Are you okay?
grandchild, or your close friend? If you're on Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care, and that caregiver will get paid instantly after their shift. Yes, your caregiver will get paid instantly, and it's 100% free to you if you are on Medicaid. Call 716-869-9286 and ask Freedom Care how to get started with care today. No more worrying about getting care
I
from
say you, Dolly, and
Freedom Care helps you choose
Desmond.
who you want to take care of you, and that person gets paid. Call Freedom Care at 716-869-9286. That's 716-869-9286 to get started today. You get a caregiver you know and trust, and they get paid instantly after their shift, and it's free to you. Start now by calling 716-869-9286.
From now on, when you work, I want you to adopt the 1 in, 1 out.
Or go to freedomcare.com.
Okay. All right, let's get it.
Buffalo, brings United celebration at the University United Festival for 20
With that being said,
family. Music
shout out to
and
everybody.
on Saturday, June 10th and Sunday, June 11th at the University at Buffalo, South Campus Rotary Field. Join us Saturday, June 10th at 2 p.m. for the University United Festival Community Parade as we come together to celebrate our diversity and unity for a moment of pride and evidence that you don't want to miss. Featuring artists Joy, R&B legend, and Grammy-nominated member of the R&B Pop Edition.
I had this in so long.
Gospel Sunday on
Lord have
Tuesday,
mercy.
sponsored by Hybar and hosted by Bishop Darius T. Quicken.
Oh,
Featuring
nah, I don't know how to work.
winning artist Pastor Mike Jr. and Grammy-winning artist Hezekiah Walker. Also featuring local artists Candy Clue and David Vaughn with the national anthem performed by Matt Wilson from American Idol. Come and be part of the fun. So let's join the celebration and community at the University United Festival. Information visit universityunitedfestival.com. At KeyBank, we want to help make buying a home in Western New York easier by
would you like that golf tournament? LG.
I ain't gonna hold that.
Oh, you ain't gonna.
More details on how to qualify visit key.com/Buffalo Home. Available on primary residence purchase. Geographical areas. Ask us for details. Subject credit approval. NMLS number 39979. Buffalo. Put your shower shoes on. Union presents Buffalo Sings Volume 2. That's coming Sunday, June 4th at 4 p.m. at Fellowship World Church, 878 Humboldt Parkway, Buffalo, New York. Where the pastor, Bishop John.
Right, so we're gonna
Buffalo Sings Volume 2.
close out the NBA, then we're gonna jump right into Bills linebackers. I got a few clips from Bobby Babbage, the linebackers coach. I'm gonna break those things down. My guy talking some shit.
What's good, sports world? The NBA Finals are set as the Miami Heat will face the Denver Nuggets. The Heat, led by Jimmy Butler's 28.7 rebounds and 6 assists, was enough to get home the Laker trophy as the Eastern Conference MVP, but it's still not enough in Jimmy Butler's mind.
So I'm just confident. I know the work that we all put into it, so I know what we're capable of. But nobody's satisfied. We haven't done anything. We don't play just to win the Eastern Conference. We play to win the whole thing.
Caleb Martin chipped in with 26 points and 11 rebounds, going 4 for 6 at three-point land. Jason Tatum sprained his ankle on the very first possession and was able only to contribute 14 points and 11 rebounds. Here's Tatum on how his ankle affected him.
I came down, my ankle. And it's tough because it, kind of impacted me the rest of the night. Swelled up, and it was just frustrating that I was kind of like a shell of myself. It's tough to move. It was just frustrating, especially that shit happened in the first place.
Jaylen Brown led Boston with 19 points. Game 1 is Thursday in Denver. In other news, the DeAndre Hopkins saga continues. ESPN senior insider Jeremy Fowler says the Bills are still a team of interest.
Where do you think he ends up next? Well, my money would still be on the Bills or the Chiefs working something out. They just don't have a lot of money in the cap space. And, the Chiefs, the concern is they just gave Donovan Smith on free agency some real money to play left tackle. So that drains some of their resources. I don't know if they can quite pull it off. They do believe Kadarius Toney can be a number 1 type receiver. So I don't get the sense they're overly desperate to make this happen, but there's certainly some interest. And when you talk to other NFL teams, they believe the Bills are a threat here and have been for a while. So
that's your Power Sports Minute. I'm Muki Hawkins.
That's right, I'm Muki Hawkins, and welcome back to Late Night Sports. We got DJ Reddy Roberts in the building. We got the Torches in the building. We got Justus in general. We got Jamal is in the building. I'd like to welcome everybody that's tuning in on social media. Is in the building. We're just talking a little bit of NBA Finals, so you didn't really miss much. Again, we're going to break down Bills linebackers. We're going to, talk a little D-Hop and, get a quite feel for what's going on. It is week 2 of Bills OTAs. Our Bandits is doing well. They win Saturday. They'll bring home the chip too. So there's a lot of things to talk about.
Which they will.
But right now, let's just close out this NBA thing. And I'm telling you now, the way Jimmy Butler's playing, Jimmy Butler is looking like an unguardable player. And Jamal Murray has been giving you that, but right now, Jimmy's been looking like an uncheckable player. And, he's going to strap up too. I think Jimmy Butler is going to ride out game 1 with the same energy and determination, and I think they still game 1. I'm still 50-50 on it, but I'm going to say Miami, still game 1. We got clips from my guy, Hemi Buckets. It's no longer Jimmy Buckets. He's Hemi Buggy because he is him. So he's Hemi Buckets. Here's Hemi Buckets on, why he want to win an NBA championship.
Eastern Conference Finals. You're at center court. Bam Adebayo takes the trophy, and he offers it to you. And you say, I'll take the next one. Walk me through that.
That's how I view it. I don't We don't play to, and it wasn't disrespectful because I love Bam, and I'm very grateful to be able to win the Eastern Conference. But I've done that before. I have. I want to win an NBA championship. That's the reason why they put this squad together. I don't play for the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I won't play for the Finals MVP. Could care less. I play for Mr. O'Brien.
So when did you decide? Was it in the moment or was it the day before? Not touching that?
Every time I play basketball, it's the end goal, the end result that I want it to be is the championship trophy. That's it. That's it. You can take all-stars, don't want to be a part of that anyways. You can take the all-NBA, could care less. All-defense team, don't care. I really only want to win a championship.
There it is. He only wants to win the championship. I believe the guy. You know, he was in the bubble. He was on that Heat team that lost in the bubble to the Lakers. So, you know, I think that he's seeing, you know, right now this is the time to seize the moment. If not, I don't think it ever happened in the Miami Heat uniform for the guy. So I think he's going to do everything in his power to win these next 4 games. It's a race of 4 games. And, okay, we get it. Denver, they're a young team, yada, yada, yada. They're a hot team. So it's going to – I'm still 50-50 with it. I'm still going to say that Miami wins game 1. We'll just have to continue to break that down.
I think this postseason has put the bubble season in a lot of context because, like, people say that was Mickey Mouse Championship or whatever the case may be, right? They basically say it
I was not about to sit here and let nobody discredit
so what
the
I'm saying
Lakers
is,
bubble championship.
What I'm saying is when you consider Jimmy Butler's mental fortitude and the way he clearly is able to motivate his teammates, it makes sense that a guy with his mentality and the team that he leads was able to, you know, find the strength in that very, you know, from their point of view, they said it was a terrible experience, and you know, they were able to come out of the Eastern Conference, and I think, you know, his mental toughness and him being the leader of the team had a lot to do with that. And it's showing this postseason.
Well, better show this postseason. Not then, you know, it's going to be over with quick. But I do like your props to Caleb Martin. Hold your face. We're done off this topic. We're not going to be talking too much about that.
Oh, you so slick. You going to introduce to the world something and then going to come right off it.
That's right. We're going to come right off that thing. We're going to talk all day about NBA Finals and Bills OTAs going on. We need to find out what's going on with these linebackers. We need to find out what's going on with D-Hop. All right. We ain't got all day to talk about it. All right. So we're going to get right down to business. What is really going on with the linebacker room, right? So we had a great opportunity to talk with Bills linebackers coach Bob Babbage. And, you know, he broke some things down. He spoke his mind. I like how he's talked to me. He's another one of those guys that Coach McDermott easily can pass the baton to as defensive coordinator. So here's a guy in Bob Babbage who started out as being a DB coach, you know, with Micah Hyde and Jory Porter when they first got here to Buffalo. You know, changed those guys into, you know, making a name for themselves to being 2 all-pro safeties. Now, you know, he had an opportunity as a linebackers coach last year to, you know, make his mark with Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano. Obviously, hey, Matt Milano ended up being all-pro, and Tremaine Edmonds went and got a bag in Chicago. All right, so this guy's pretty much knowing what he's doing. Obviously, he's teaching real good to have moved up from, I want to say moved up, just, you know, coach 2 separate position groups and excel at it, you know, with the level of play that he's getting from his players at that point in time. So what are your thoughts, Torch, on the Bills linebacker situation?
I think they still need to go get somebody in free agency. We need to shore up this team as much as we can. I'm not too sold on what we have at the linebacker position lasting the entire season and allowing the Bills to be as successful as they want or need to be to get over the hump. Go get somebody in free agency. Go make the moves that shore up this team for a championship.
So you don't like none of the moves that the Bills. Now they done picked up a lot of damn linebackers. All right, now for starters, Tyrell Dobson, Matt Milano. All right, then your next group will probably be Terrell Bernard and Braylon Spector. All right, then after that, you have Dorian Williams, and then you have Tyler Metcalf. I'm just saying, and not really order, but those in the linebacker. You have Traven Howard, who a lot of people is not really talking about. A sneaky another pickup. The Bills has been doing sneaky pickups. Another sneaky guy that can easily make this roster as a cover linebacker, a former safety from out of TCU. Go check the highlights out on this guy, and he converted to a linebacker, and he did quite well for that Rams Super Bowl mob in covering certain guys. So, all hawking ability. So the Bills are kind of like they have a little sneaky good rotation for now. And they still have AJ Klein, right? Still got AJ Klein, another McDermott disciple. So the linebacker core, it's not a Tremaine Edmonds, but it's what you make it depending on what the Bills are going to run defensively. I'm hearing that this is going to be a more aggressive defense. All right, it's going to be a more aggressive defense. So maybe some different things that you're going to see out of the linebacker play, and most definitely out of the stat backer play. All right, but as far as the communication point and the pressure that this job entails, because again, Tremaine Edmonds did hold this job for 5 years. So it's kind of like, as a coach, you get in the comfort zone when you got a guy that's been in your system for 5 years calling your stuff, right? So he don't have that luxury anymore. So they have to really, truly evaluate who that play caller is going to be and trust that guy, because he's going to be calling the plays. So here's Micah Hyde on how that works from the front end to the back end, and how important that this middle linebacker position really is. Here's Micah Hyde.
What has your communications been with the linebackers these past couple of weeks in OTAs, and how has Tyrell Dobson emerged as that guy?
I think that the last couple of weeks they kind of been rotating. I think for us in the back end, communicating with guys, like we just talked about the core guys being here, we understand, we see, what each other sees, and the communication aspect of making calls and all that type of stuff is pretty. I don't want to say easy, because no matter what, it's never easy, but it's easier. But when you have guys that are rotating, it's kind of unfamiliar, making calls and stuff like that, see the same things, but they're doing an amazing job. Two guys out there being vocal, which is something that I'm sure they had to get on him about being more vocal, especially being a middle linebacker and getting the defense lined up and stuff like that. So, but they're all doing an amazing job, and I know that with my past experience with Bobby Babich, he's going to get those boys right. He's gonna talk so much and he's going to get on their nerves, and I hope he sees this, to where they're making the right calls. That's what he does. He's an awesome coach. He took, obviously Poe and I to where we are today, Maine and Milano to where they are today. So he'll do the same with those young guys. I think ultimately all we can do is just do the best we can communicating. We work with from the back seven. We work together. Obviously, every single play, making calls like that. We got to see the same things. But at the end of the day, I think this OTAs is important because it's really the middle linebacker show. Like, if you make a call and it's wrong, we're all playing that wrong call, no matter what. We're on the same sheet of music. So I think it's just about being confident and having those young guys just being precise, make a call, and let's go out there and play fast.
There you have it, folks. You have Bills safety Micah Hyde, just really breaking down how important that middle linebacker position is. Jamal, what was your thoughts on what you just heard from Micah Hyde in reference to that?
Yeah, it's a real important position, especially for what Tremaine provided. Not only the whole play calling thing, which is is definitely important, but just him as being such a freak of nature and what he did to opposing offenses as far as the throws he took away, the throwing lanes, what he meant as a presence in the middle of the field. We saw a few games this season where he didn't play and teams were vaporizing us over the middle of the field and converting these third and longs, and just how important he was to this defense. So, like, I wrote an article about it. It really does, are we going to have a linebacker that knows the cause, that's going to play well? Obviously, he won't be Tremaine Edmonds. He's a freak of nature, one of the best linebackers in the leagues. But will he be good enough so the defense can keep, running well enough so where it's not falling off to, a mid-level, bottom of the league defense? Can it still be top 10, top 11, top 12 defense? I don't expect it to keep being 1, 2, top 3, but can it still be a top-tier defense in the NFL? But this is what it's going to need. And can the offense help it out, playing from the league so they don't have to play, run and pass and play action and make it easier on the defense like that. So the offense is going to help out with that as well. But it's an extremely important position, and that success of the season really hinges on how well we're going to give the middle linebacker play and how well the new players going to pick up calls and play on the field.
Respect that. I respect that. What do you got for me, Justus?
I'm not really concerned about it, to be honest. As far as what we do with middle linebacker, I feel like McDermott has earned nothing, if not the benefit of the doubt. When Tre'Davious White went down, people were saying, "Oh wow, there goes our Super Bowl chances." We're not going to have the number one defense in the NFL. And we know we didn't have the number one defense in the NFL. It was still top 5 though. We were still all going into the end of that season thinking this team can win the Super Bowl, right? So I'm not going to say Tremaine Edmonds won't be a big blow, but when you consider that we have the best safety tandem in the NFL, we still have all-pro Tre'Davious White coming back into his second year after an ACL injury. You got Dane Jackson and then 3 other young studs at the cornerback position. I'm more concerned with pass rushing without Von Miller than I am our linebacking core. If the offense does what it's supposed to do and puts up points and moves the ball like they will do with the best quarterback in the league, then the defense, really all you have to do at a certain point is what, Leslie Frazier's whole thing was, like, to stop the deep ball, right? Stop you from getting big yardage plays. And I think teams will have to do a lot of passing versus this defense, again, just off the strength that our offense is so good. And as long as the young linebackers will have chances early to learn coverage packages and to learn tendencies for teams and, what quarterbacks like to do, their own weaknesses, and then going late into the season, into the postseason, they're more comfortable with, how they're expected to perform in man coverage and zone coverage because the offense is scoring so much. So as far as the linebacker position goes, we still have a really, really good linebacker in Matt Milano. One of the best linebackers in Matt Milano. Let's keep it being, right? And then they're comfortable with Teron Johnson basically playing not exactly linebacker, but essentially linebacker, which means they're comfortable with maybe not a massive presence, but more of a speedy option. And we have plenty of those at linebacker. So even if McDermott does choose to switch up the defense a little bit, you still have Teron Johnson and you still have a Terrell Bernard, Dorian Williams, guys like that who are small but speedy, can run around the field and can get from point A to point B. So I'm not super worried about it. I think that we're going to be good either way.
After all of that.
Yeah,
after all of that.
Yeah, I think that
at the end of the day.
So first of all, for me, I think Dorian Williams is going to be middle linebacker.
All those guys you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Don't call the plays.
No,
they don't call the plays.
But that's what I'm saying.
Ain't no but. They don't call the plays.
You have one of the.
Micah Hyde just said if he makes the wrong call, we're all wrong, including the all-pro safety Micah Hyde.
Thankfully, have Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer and Tre'Davious White there to help you out.
If the linebacker makes the wrong call,
you think they're not going to help the linebacker though?
We're all wrong.
That's what training camp is for.
Did you just hear? You're right,
I know, but that's what they training for.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely right.
So they're gonna have it figured out.
So that's not a concern. You're just
not.
banking on the support around him in a
not
linebacker.
A concern for me. The rookie linebackers come into the league every year and play middle linebacker and are fine. I think they'll be okay.
I think the song goes, "Don't sweat the technique," or the line goes, "Don't sweat the technique."
Yeah, I'm just checking temperatures around here. I ain't checking no technique. I'm checking temperature.
Right, but that's gonna be the problem during the season. If they ain't got the technique right, that's gonna be the problem. I don't care about all the speed in the world.
Well, I don't even want to go there about technique. I don't even want to go there.
I mean, wasn't that Tremaine Edmonds' first knock? It was the technique at first.
Right, there's some technical issues up front, like Justus said before. The linebackers. I don't want to get into that.
Oh, see, look at you. Look,
you talking about sweating the technique. I'm
right.
talking about
I gotta
plays
out there. I mean,
who's calling the plays? We got so accustomed to Tremaine being out there. We got so accustomed to Tremaine Edmonds being out.
So why did we? So then we shouldn't have let him go.
Right? Yeah. Hey, we're gonna see where they
clearly had a plan. I mean,
check.
They had to have a contingency plan.
We're gonna check the technique. How about that? We're gonna check the technique.
Brandon Beane is Batman. He has a contingency plan. I say Dorian Williams.
Getting into that technique, Jim. Getting into that technique. linebackers coach Bobby Babbage. Let's hear what he has to say about what a Mike linebacker should be like.
Well, I think the biggest thing that you look for with us specifically with the Bills, the hardest thing for our guys is the operation and what we want to do. Obviously, we just lost a player who had 5 years of the operation, right? Anytime you go into a job, you're trying to perform a task, the more repetition that any of us have at what we're doing, shoot, me taking over as a linebacker coach last year, the more repetitions, the better I got. So the operation and making sure that our defense can function through the way the Mike linebacker gets us into a defense, potentially sets a front, sets this, sets that, so we can operate at a high level. That's the hardest thing. And I think the other thing, and I believe Sean and Brandon have talked about it, is we want football players. We don't care what they look like. We don't care what the measurables are. We don't care. We want football players that can play football, because you can look at the 40s, you can look at, the bench and all the combine things, but once that ball's snapped, a lot of those things do apply and a lot of them don't apply. So if you talk about the instinctual aspect of things, or just having that feel for the game and that knowledge for the game, those are a couple things I think that you look for right away in a Mike, so they can play fast and play free once they master those operation type things, if that makes sense to you.
Jamal, did that make sense to you?
Made a lot of sense to me. It's kind of like what Justus said. They don't. It's honestly for a lot of players for the Bills over the years on defense, they don't have the typical type of build you would say to play certain positions. But you just have football players. We got a lot of undersized but very speedy guys, and they can play football very well. And so what he said makes very sense. We'll see. Again, the linebacker is very important. Again, Tremaine Edmonds is one of the best middle linebackers in the league. Losing him is a loss. And I do think they have a good contingency plan. We're seeing it play out right now. I also think Dorian Williams is going to be the day one starter, but that's yet to be seen. They better be ready, because it's a Super Bowl ready team. So Sean McDermott and Coach Bobby, they got their hands full.
Absolutely. And Torch, what do you got to say about Coach Babbitt's comments?
It's super important. Let's not forget that the Buffalo Bills was 2 plays away. I want y'all never to forget those seconds. Okay? You talk about Sean McDermott, who's taking on another role this year and calling plays on the defensive end. He's taking that solely on his own. So now we got to worry about that. Him taking on another position, and then making sure that his linebackers are calling the right plays and putting them in the position to be successful. Now, when we get to the later stages of the season, where it's critical time, is that going to be a issue? And that's why I said don't sweat the technique, because with technique comes your job responsibilities. In order to be able to have a technique and be able to do it properly, you need to know what your job positions is, and you need somebody solid on that front end. And that's why I said that they need to go get somebody who's going to be solid on that front end. I hear all the Terrell Dodson. It's good. Terrell Bernard, I heard that. AJ Klein, this, that, and the third. But when it comes down to those critical moments, is those the guys that's going to be able to get it done when it's in Buffalo and you 2 plays away, and it's Kansas City or Cincinnati?
We'll see. One thing I can say about the middle linebacker spot is, now that since McDermott is the defensive coordinator and Mike will have the green dot, he will solely hear from Coach McDermott, because he's going to have, the speaker and everything converting with Coach McDermott, for at least the first 15 seconds, whatever, before they got to turn the mics off. So he will hear directly from Coach McDermott. It's not like where he was with Wesley Frazier and Tremaine Edmonds. So you got McDermott will be relaying that information, whoever wins that competition battle. So, okay, that gave me some little optimism there. But we're going to move on. This is D-Hop News. We're getting kind of late into the show. D-Hop's, everybody trying to figure out what's going on. He finally found the agent. Teams really couldn't talk to him. So, I have my guy, Chris Sims, break some things down, and he has some valid points. Here's Chris Sims on D-Hop.
Oh, I think just in general, at any
Jermaine
position, when you have to replace someone that's had a ton of reps and a ton of experience and has been fairly healthy, there's obviously going to be growth that has to happen through that, which for me is exciting, right? I look at it as we've got a lot of players that are vying for a position, to your point, that for 5 years someone had occupied, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's 5 years, had occupied and took most of the reps. So there is a challenge, but I think challenge versus opportunity is the biggest thing. You know, there's a great opportunity for a lot of good football players to be able to step into that role, and they have done a great job. A lot of them have prepared themselves to be ready for an opportunity like this, as opposed to a challenge. You know what I mean? And Brandon and Sean have done a great job of in our scouting department of acquiring those type of players where they can kind of fit in and look at it as an opportunity and not a challenge.
That's well said by Coach Babbitt. I like him. So it's good to get a chance to talk with some of the other coaches on the staff because we don't talk to them as much. So to get a feel from Bobby Babbage, that was awesome. But we got D-Hop news, and this is how my man Chris Sims broke that down, and he had some valid points. Here's Chris Sims on D-Hop.
I think it is going to be a top team market. I feel like with DeAndre Hopkins, like we said yesterday, I don't see him going, oh, wait, I'll take an extra $1 million or $2 to go play with the Carolina Panthers or some team that we don't envision that really is in a Super Bowl window. Like you said, I think it's going to be top-tier teams, Chiefs, Bills. Those are the teams we're talking about. Teams that are looking at it going, wait, we're a Super Bowl team. What gets us over the hump to be, oh, now we feel like we're like a Super Bowl winning football team. And I think that's what the Bills and Chiefs are interested in. The big thing, Mike, with me and DeAndre Hopkins, or Nook as they call him, right, is what are his expectations? What does he want? How many years of a contract does he want? What kind of guarantees is he looking at? That's, to me, where it's going to get tricky. Or is this just going to be a one-year rental type of thing, and then he's going to try to set himself up? And that's where I don't have a great feel for what he's expecting quite yet. Disagree with you there. It is the way to work. And I think that's the way to work if he wants to maximize, you know, what his earnings are. The question I throw out there is a guy like you and me who follows football and, you know, follows all these teams and talks about it in depth is, you know, what is the market for DeAndre Hopkins? What exactly, what are we talking about? Again, like we talked about, guaranteed money, yearly average, the amount of years in the contract, I think are all going to be a big deal here for a guy that's, year 10 playing receiver, and we've hit on it. I know PEDs, injuries, right? All of that. Added on top of this, too, where I'll say he's different than OBJ as well, where OBJ was just a one-year rental, but OBJ is viewed in the NFL as a separation guy. OBJ is viewed as a guy that, like, hey, he can run a go route and still 80 yards, touchdown. He can get a slant route and make one move and be gone. That's not DeAndre Hopkins. They're usually not valued the same as that guy like an OBJ. Now, OBJ has the injury. I know all that. I get it. But that's where I think the Hopkins thing is interesting, too, because you know, I mean, I watch film. You know that. People hear me talk about him on my podcast and stuff, but you talk to coaches around football, too. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is the type of receiver anymore that scares people. He's not that guy anymore. He's more of, hey, we got to put him in the right spot. And he knows how to run routes, and he's got great hands, and, you know, he'll make the play. But you're not necessarily going to get yak or 80-yard touchdowns and stuff like that. And that, to me, is, again, another interesting part of the market for DeAndre Hopkins and getting a feel for this situation.
Pretty damn interesting, gentlemen. But, like, we're going to recap that. We're going to do some overtime minutes. Like, I know y'all look at y'all faces. Y'all got a lot to say. But, you know, we are just about out of that time, right? So, you know, with that being said, don't go nowhere, folks. We're going to pick this up live on social media. But we got to close this thing out. Hey, choose love, not hate, stay safe. Wash them damn hands, man. So, what are your thoughts about that? As he just completely took a shit on DeAndre Hopkins. What do you have to say about Chris Sims' analysts. I mean, he did have some valid points. He did break down OBJ and the DeAndre Hopkins. I like that. I like how he broke that down because they are not the same. But
he sometimes just goes too far.
He goes too far, right?
He goes too far. I believe he had like 700 yards and like 50 catches in like 9 games last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
With paper clips and paper as a quarterback. Like, come on now. He's definitely still a top tier guy, and still I would think a separator in the NFL. And that's just crazy. Everything else he said was pretty much spot on. It's nothing we don't know. We don't really know what he truly values at. Is it the money? Is it the winning? How much is that 50-50, 60-40? Is it a 1-year rental, long term? I would assume he kind of wants long-term compensation, but that's just me assuming. So that part he was kind of spot on it. Will he wait this out? Will he sign immediately? Will he just wait it all the way out until August for summer camp or training camp? We don't know. There's a lot of more unknowns than knowns at the point, and we just kind of got to wait it out and see. We're kind of beholden to DeAndre Hopkins. He may take a little tour and take the summer off and then go on a little free agency tour. He's earned that right, so we kind of just got to wait it out and see. But
Right.
as far as saying he's not separated, that's crazy talk. That's insane.
What are your thoughts on Chris Sims, Justice?
I mean, I listen to Chris Sims' podcast all the time, actually. It's one of the few podcasts I have in my rotation. And I think that if nothing else, Chris does his due diligence. He'll go watch the tape, and as he says, he'll self-scout thyself. And even if he's wrong, he'll go back and admit that he was wrong. I don't think that he's necessarily wrong, he said. I think that it'll be up to DeAndre Hopkins to prove that he still got it. I mean, we see wide receivers fall off cliffs. And not only that, but he was caught with the PEDs. His quarterback, his team kind of fell off of a little bit of a cliff there.
Yo, why you mumble that though? Like, you just come out and say like you get in trouble or something?
Nah, I ain't trying to throw more dirt on Buddy name. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
I mean, you didn't put it out there. Chris Sims put it.
Right. But, I think that DeAndre Hopkins is still a major contributor. If nothing else, he is the ultimate possession receiver, right? You throw it anywhere in his general vicinity, and that's a completion. So I think if nothing else, he would be valuable there because we've seen plenty of times where a Gabe Davis maybe dropped the ball that we should have had, right? Or last year a Cole Beasley or Isaiah McKenzie or something like that. If that target is going to number 10, there catches every single time. And I think that would be ultimately valuable because we seen last year the Bills were one of the worst teams in NFL in yards after the catch. So, I mean, that would be right up our alley. This year, you can tell by the roster management that they're making more of a concerted effort to be more of a rack team. But having DeAndre Hopkins, you don't necessarily expect, yards after the catch out of him. You could just expect him to catch the football and run good routes, which is what he's going to do.
Absolutely. Torch, what are your thoughts on what Chris Sims had to say?
Speaking about Buddy, whoa there, Buddy. Whoa there, Buddy. First and foremost, to be, fair, to be fair, you got to make the league unfair competition. I feel like to have a fair shot at winning the championship, you got to make it unfair for everybody else. Go get DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not hearing this nonsense crap, this smoke screens about, he's not that type of guy anymore. He's not the explosive, blow the top off. You don't need that, first of all.
What?
You don't need the blow the top off DeAndre Hopkins. You need the I can move the chains DeAndre Hopkins. And that guy with one of the best route running abilities and best hands in the league definitely makes the Buffalo Bills even better on the offensive end. I mean, didn't we try this with Cole Beasley? The reason why we run Cole Beasley because he was a security blanket in that slot position. Come on, man. Let's cut all the pleasantries. I mean, I get he was trying to be brutally honest and his age and his contract and all this stuff, man. But I think that doesn't matter. I think the Bills' window is closing, and I think you got to do what you need to do to make sure that you go get a guy impactful as DeAndre Hopkins to go bring you a championship to this great Western New York area. So go do that, okay?
If 10 come to Buffalo, he playing in the slot?
I think he plays the 2 or the slot.
He will have a good too, I imagine.
Yeah.
He's gonna play outside and he's gonna play.
Yeah, and he gonna play both. He can play both. But my
No,
thing
he
is,
can play both for sure.
my thing is,
You know.
Gabe even gets better. I think with a guy like DeAndre Hopkins in your locker room with Stephon Diggs, Gabe gets better. This is one of those moves that leadership-wise, you get even better for your younger folks that you got in that locker room. Let's be clear about this. It's short shot. I hear Chris Sims and OBJ, the nonsense that he was talking. We don't need OBJ. We don't need OBJ.
No, we don't need any of them, honestly.
We don't need that. We can use the possession receiver, DeAndre Hopkins.
We just need another damn threat. All right? Here's what we need. We need another damn threat. Because I'm losing my phone all over the place.
It sounds
We
like he's
just need
trying to
another threat.
discourage.
They're trying to say that he's not a threat anymore.
No, that's crazy
truthfully
talk.
beg differ.
That's crazy
Wow.
talk.
He's not a threat anymore.
I feel like Kincaid is going to be that slot. I feel like he's going to be our offensive Teron Johnson, where it's just like not necessarily out of
go
position.
empty.
But
You go empty, put him at the slot. There's so many things the Bills can do with it.
surely
To have a fair chance of winning a championship, you have to make the competition unfair for others.
Look at the Eagles.
Right.
Coin that. Okay?
The Eagles had a super team, almost did it, but didn't quite do it.
Yeah, you have some that did it. You have some who hasn't. That's why I say with this DeAndre deal, it's going to be a 2-year deal. It's not going to be a 1-year rental. It's going to be 2 because if they don't get it, that second year is definitely the running back season. And that's, for a lot of guys, that's on this Bills roster right now. So, hey, I'm be optimistic about it. Hopefully something gets done. If we see a restructuring out of the clear blue damn sky, then the Bills are making a move. So until that happens, we will continue to keep everybody updated in what's new concerning.
Restructure.
You can restructure Deion Dawkins. You can restructure
Okay, there we go.
Johnson. You can
There you
restructure
go.
Davies.
All right.
You can,
Put some
extend
steak on
a
it.
few people.
Put some
That's
steak
what
on
I'm just saying. You can put some steak on it, but that was overtime, folks. I'll let you.